Hello, and welcome to the Interchange Book 3, Unit 4 video. And today we're going to be talking about the past continuous. But first, let's take a look at a situation that we are all familiar with. At the mall. Okay, so we've all been to a mall, and we all know what it's like. And let's look at the different people in this mall and what they're doing. So, for example, this man in the white shirt here, what is he doing? And let's look at the man in the blue shirt. For example, what is he doing? Or maybe the gentleman in the bottom left here, what are they doing? Okay? So what are all these people doing? Okay, so here are the answers. The man in the white, he is texting. The man in the blue shirt, he is reading. And the gentleman in the bottom left-hand corner, they are talking. Okay? Now, we are going to watch a video. And in the video, something unexpected is going to happen to one of these people. Okay? So I'm asking you, what is going to happen next? What do you think is going to happen to one of these people? Well, let's watch the video. After watching the video, what happened? What happened to the man in the white shirt? Well, he wasn't paying attention and he fell. Another question. What was he doing when he fell? And the answer? He was texting when he fell. So this is the type of grammar that we're going to look at today. This is the past continuous. Okay, so let's examine the grammar for the past continuous. Okay, so for the past continuous, I'm talking in the past. So I'm going to use my verb to be in the past tense. So I'm going to use was and were. And I use was and were with a gerund, which is a verb and the ing. So that's the continuous part of this grammar. So it's the past continuous. Now, let's remember why I use was. I use was for my singular subjects. For example, I was, he was, she was, it was. And I use the gerund. For the other subjects, I'm using were. For the plural subjects, for example, you were, we were, and they were, plus the gerund, right? The continuous part. Now, when I'm using the past continuous, it's because I'm talking about an action in the past that was continuous, right? It was happening in a continuous way. And I'm going to look at how I compare this to the simple past. So let's remember the video we watched, right? We had a guy, and if we remember what he was doing when he fell, we're going to say he was texting when he fell. Again, so this is the continuous part of the sentence. He was texting, right, when he fell. So if I look at this, basically, the past continuous, right? He was texting. That's the first thing that happened. That's the first action, right? And the second action is when he fell. So basically, the simple past is the second thing that happens in the sentence, okay? Now, I can use the affirmation. I can say he was texting when he fell. Or maybe I could use a negative, and I could say, well, he wasn't paying attention when he fell. Okay? Again, it's still a past continuous sentence. He wasn't paying attention. So I just make the verb to be in the past tense negative. Okay? Now, let's see if we can remember what some of the other people were doing when the guy in the white shirt fell. For example, the man in the blue shirt, what was he doing? Well, he was reading when he fell. So the man in the blue shirt was reading when he fell. But what about the other two that we looked at? The gentleman in the bottom left-hand corner. What were they doing? Well, they were talking when he fell. Again, I'm using were because the subject is plural, they. So they were talking when he fell. Okay, now let's look at the conjunctions that we are using with this type of grammar. Okay? We have as, while, and when. So we saw when in the previous examples. For example, he was texting when he fell. So the conjunction basically combines two clauses. It combines two ideas, right? It combines action 1 and action 2. So remember that when I use the past continuous, he was texting, that's the first action that happens, right? And then I use my conjunction, when, to separate the second action that happened, he fell. Okay? Now, when is a special conjunction. I can use it with the simple past here, when he fell, or I can put it here with the past continuous. And I can say, when he was texting, he fell. So when is kind of special because when can go in two places. It can go with the past continuous, when he was texting, he fell, or I can put it with the simple past and I can say he was texting when he fell. Okay? Now, something to think about. If I put when with the past continuous, I need to use a comma. I need to use a comma to separate my past continuous and my simple past. So I'm going to put a comma there, okay? So, when I use the conjunction, when he was texting, comma, he fell. Okay, but let's look at the other ones. So we have as and while. Let's look at these two, okay? So, just like when I use when with the past continuous, I can use as and while. So I can read the sentence like this. As he was texting, comma, he fell. Or while he was texting, he fell. Okay? And I always use as and while with the past continuous. It's the only time I can use it. I cannot use as and while with the simple past. Okay. Now, remember that the first action that happened is always the past continuous. So in this context, he was texting is the first action, and then he fell. And that's the second action. But I can change the order of the sentence, right? And I can actually start my sentence with action 2, right? And then I can use action 1 at the second part. But when I do this, I still need to use my conjunctions. So remember what we said about when. When is flexible. I can say, when he fell, he was texting. But again, if I do this, I need to use that comma. Okay? So when he fell, he was texting. Or, remember we said that when is very flexible. So I could say, he fell when he was texting. So again, it doesn't matter that my continuous action is the second thing I'm talking about, and that technically the second action is the first thing I'm talking about. The grammar tells me that the past continuous is the first action, and I know that that's the first thing that was happening. Okay? Now, let's look at my other conjunctions, right? So let's get rid of when. Now, as and while. Where can I put as and while in the second sentence? Well, if we remember, as and while always go with the past continuous. So again, I need to put these with the past continuous. So for example, he fell as he was texting, or he fell while he was texting. Again, they always go with the past continuous. So, I hope this was helpful in understanding how we use the past continuous and the simple past and our conjunctions associated with this type of grammar. So, thanks for listening and good luck.